Eddie Howe has added an exciting new attacker to his side. Anthony Elanga is set to become a Newcastle player, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at what Elanga could bring to Newcastle and why Newcastle are willing to spend north of £50 million to sign the Swedish forward. Anthony Elanga really did have a breakout campaign in the Premier League last season. Away from the dreary shadow that Manchester United cast over him, he was able to go forwards and prosper in his career at Nottingham Forest, and he really did do so. So what are Newcastle getting? They're getting a player that is able to play across both wings, both left and right hand side. He predominantly favours the right hand side, although he has been used centrally for Nottingham Forest on occasion, running into those channels and taking up those spaces left behind opposition defences. And when we think about the real attributes that he could give to this Newcastle side, one of them that I'm not sure too many people will be aware of is his ability at dead ball situations. If we look over to this right hand side, we can see Premier League assists from dead ball situations in 24-25. Now, he is second highest in the Premier League for assists from dead ball situations. Now, these are completed passes from the free kick or the corner that have gone into the net. Anthony Elanga has 4, only Bukayo Saka has more with 5. That is an incredibly impressive tally and really high quality company to be kept into. Elanga also had 17 goal contributions in the Premier League last season. That attributes to 6 goals and 11 assists. So he's got high quality, he's able to score himself a goal, and he can assist for the team when necessary. Accompanying that with his electric pace, his ability on the ball, and Newcastle have quite a player. Elanga's speed, ability to drive into space, and quality on the ball makes him a perfect fit for when Eddie Howe wants Newcastle to actually occupy a more transitional base within the match. And what I mean by that is their willingness to drop back a little bit more, soak up some pressure, and then try to hit teams on the counter-attack. Nottingham Forest, who Anthony Elanga used to play for, had a tendency to drop back a little bit more, soak up a little bit more pressure, and then look to transition on the counter-attack. And you can see that example right here against Ipswich. Ipswich have gone forwards, they've committed players forwards, and that means that they've left space in behind. This is space for Anthony Elanga over here to then pick up the ball and then drive into. As he drives forwards, he's then pushing that centre-back back a little bit further, but he's also doing it at a really high rate, forcing them to then retreat, but also taking the space that's been afforded to him. As he drives infield, he moves into the box with really good precision, really good quality. He chops in onto his weaker left foot and then manages to get a shot off. If we have a look at a different angle of this, it really does highlight how far of an angle he's got, but also the quality that he's got on his left foot to find that bottom corner. It's really, really well done and a super good example of the way that Elanga could take space for this Newcastle United side. If we stick with the idea of taking space and looking for the space in beyond and how Anthony Elanga could fit into this side, while the 3-4-3 or the 3-4-2-1 might not be something that Eddie Howe would naturally gravitate towards, it is something that he has looked at previously in his recent seasons at Newcastle. And if we try to adapt Anthony Elanga and put him into this side, we can see him as this right hand almost 10. But what you could also see, and the dynamic that could unfold, would really include Alexander Isak not only dropping to receive a good pass from that midfield, but it was also naturally drag away a natural defender. This would leave space in behind for both Anthony Gordon and Anthony Elanga to move into that space. It's that blistering pace, the ability to then run into those channels that could make Newcastle a really, really potent threat, and something that while they might not automatically gravitate towards, it might be a different avenue to look towards, because it also would require less running from Alexander Isak. You'd be able to utilise his ability to pick up the ball, his great ball control, and also his vision to then turn and find other players within his vicinity, the ability for him to then look for a different pass, a different avenue and a different angle. And it's those runs off the ball that you can then see Elanga and Gordon then utilising the space and beyond, and that naturally will push up that line for the defence, but also allow for Newcastle to then move themselves forward as well. A completely different avenue that I think Newcastle could look towards with both the blistering pace of Anthony Elanga and Anthony Gordon, while utilising Alexander Isak's great link-up qualities. Just to highlight again how devastating Elanga could be on the transition in those moments looking to take space, you've got this moment that he had against Manchester United. Look at him starting within his own penalty area. This is actually from a Manchester United corner. The ball gets cleared and then it goes over towards Elanga, who has absolutely blistering pace against these Manchester United defenders. This touch is absolutely sensational and should not be slept on. If you look at the way that he's running and look at the momentum that he is taking, the fact that he's able to control that with the bottom of his foot as he's looking to step not only keeps the ball within control but also allows him to still go forwards and not break his stride. That is incredibly important. If he was to break his stride, he'd more than likely be caught up, but he isn't and he's not. And then he's able to drive forwards into that space, looking for that 1v1 duel against the last Manchester United defender. They try to challenge him. He shuffles them off. He's too strong. He's too powerful. He continues to run. And then the final moment, what I find so impressive is his finish, because it again is with his left foot. And this is where I need to mention his almost secret weapon, his secret trait. Anthony Elanga is right-footed. He takes crosses with his right foot. He takes free kicks with his right foot. He looks to always shuffle the ball onto his right foot, but he's completely comfortable with his left. In fact, 5 out of his 6 goals came with his left foot. The ability for him to have such a composed finish and such a quality finish on both feet is a really rare thing, and it is a super good thing to be adding to this Eddie Howe Newcastle system. It's a fantastic finish and one that again fires into the bottom corner. Really good finish, and he is just a quality talent. But again, that special trait of being able to utilize not only his right foot but also his weaker left foot is incredibly impressive. There's been quite a bit made about Anthony Elanga's price tag and the need for Newcastle to go out and find a player that's able to help them break down a low block, and there's almost an assumption that Anthony Elanga isn't that player. But when we actually think about the role that's being utilised out on that Newcastle right, currently occupied by Jacob Murphy, there are actually quite a few similarities between the two. While there is a difference in pace, the way they both operate on that flank is quite similar. And when we think about Jacob Murphy finding Alexander Isak more often than not, his good link-up play with him, his crossing ability, and when we think about the actual metrics behind it, Jacob Murphy averages 0.6 crosses per 90. Anthony Elanga averages 1.1, but the efficiency for Jacob Murphy is 18%, whereas Anthony Elanga's is 23. I think this could be a highlight as to where Eddie Howe believes this Newcastle side could go. Crosses into the box are incredibly important. When you have a player of Anthony Elanga's pace and speed, and you think about him with the ability to then go and hit the byline, get a cross in towards the likes of Alexander Isak, perhaps Anthony Gordon, perhaps Joe Linton if he were to move into the box, you can start to see the way that this Newcastle side could play out. And even if that wasn't the case and it ended up getting deflected, it ended up getting cleared, you can then see the Newcastle players start to push up. It's then about recycling possession, and once the opposition start to draw themselves out, it's then about recycling it back around and going again. The ability for Anthony Elanga to find himself in a position reset to then go to try and move against his fullback once more, again isolating those 1v1 duels like we mentioned, his ability to not only go out on the right hand side, which is a really important tendency, but also we've seen that he's got the ability to drift onto his left and still take a shot. That extra potency and that versatility is extremely important. So when it comes to getting the ball again, beating his winger again and then putting in a cross, all of a sudden you've got different avenues to then play to. You've got a good option for a cutback, you've now got a good option for the back post, you've still got Alexander Isak, and all of a sudden a load of different avenues start to open up, a load of different channels start to open up, and before you know it, he's able to start to create for his side. It's just an avenue that I think Newcastle could really look towards, and clearly they have with Anthony Elanga, who has a lot of things to offer. And it's this moment that I think really highlights what I'm talking about. So you've got a good progression down the right-hand side. This could be Tino Livramento. You've got Anthony Elanga just a little bit further back, ready to pick up the ball. But you've also got his ability to then find more space. He picks up the ball and drives into this pocket right here. But then it's about him finding that quality. Then it's about him driving into the box. And what I think is so very impressive and so very important in this scenario is his ability to pick his head up. He's looked up and found out that his striker, in Chris Wood in this case, it could be Alexander Isak later down the line, is in space. He's ready and he's going to play a great cross in. He's going to loft it just over the top and give Chris Wood something to aim at. Again, I can really see this working out with Alexander Isak. He plays a fantastic cross and it gives his striker the best possible opportunity to get on the end of it. It showcases his quality, his ability on the ball, his quality to drive into space. I think he is an absolute no-brainer for Newcastle and could be a perfect fit for this Eddie Howe system. But of course, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something new and hope to see you in the next one. But until then, my friends, take care.